Yes, people, welcome back to the Arsenal Lounge, Arsenal Midweek Peek, episode 3, I believe. But before we get into it, let's smash the intro.
Thomas, it's up for grabs now! Thomas!
Magic ball from Bergkamp to Patrick Vieira!
Oh, would you believe it? Oh, right, what a way to get it!
Fabulous solo goal by Thierry Henry. Champions.
Yes, people, and there you have it. Arsenal Lounge is back again for another episode of Arsenal Midweek Peek. As I said, I have special Arsenal royalty in the chat. One of them you actually recognise because it's his channel, so that's quite rarity. But and of course I've got the Mr. Tom Canton joining me as well. Guys, do the obligatories, obliterate the like button on the road to 17k. Let's get there, people. Let's get there. Get them algorithms up and smash the like I said. We're on a tight schedule, but Shaheen, welcome to your show. Obviously, it's a bit weird.
Thank you, man.
Good to see you, man. It's been too long.
Thank you for having me, Albert. I appreciate it.
This is really weird. It's funny. Let me tell you a little story before I introduce the fine Tom. Shaheen messaged me yesterday. He said, is it all right to come on? I said, well, I'm really not going to say no if you come on your show.
Only Shaheen could ever ask for permission to come on his own podcast.
No, I just saw that, I was on the thumbnail and I was like, I can't miss another show with Tom Canton. So I'm going to definitely go there because I love Tom too much.
Yeah, I love Tom as well. Not to give him a big head, but I do like Tom. I like Tom.
Oh, it's big enough already. Look at it. It's huge.
Yes, last but not least, people. Tom, thank you for joining us for Arsenal Midweek Peek, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, no, good. Always a pleasure to see both of you. So good to have a conversation, as always.
That's good. No worries. There's a lot of people in the chat box already. God, man, you must have been anticipating a heavyweight panel tonight. But smash the like button. Thank you for joining us, people. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to dive straight into it. Tom, this is not how I was going to start the show, but I just want to get out of the way because I want to get your views. I know you're in the know, Tom. You are. If you don't want to say you are. There's links today about Mikel Midweek. He's laughing already. Apparently, in inverted commas, Arsenal have tabled a £60 million bid. Is it? Tom, take it away.
I don't know, mate. I've heard nothing. I've seen the reports, but they're coming out from Italy, I believe. So yeah, I've heard nothing. Sorry, mate.
That's all right. No, because I only
definitely interested. We like him a lot, but I don't know about a bid. So yeah.
I got told about 20 minutes ago, but obviously I think the original tweet was about 2 hours ago. And if you're telling me already that the sauce is an Italian sauce, let's just stop talking right now.
Hey, look. If you throw enough, at a wall, eventually some of it will stick. So who knows? Maybe they get this one right.
True. Shaheen, did you hear about them links?
Yeah, I read something on Twitter, but you know what? We're not normally known for big spending in January. But you never know. Maybe they're looking at what's happening right now and they feel that we need to get a couple of, decent strikers in. But it's difficult to predict what's happening at Arsenal. I mean, one thing with them is that they've managed to, for the past couple of transfer windows, I don't know if Tom agrees with me on this one, but they've managed to keep everything very, very quiet. Not a lot of people can tell or know, or they get a bit of a words here and there as to what's going on. So maybe it is happening, maybe not. I'm not going to sit down and pretend I know a lot about the player. The only things I know about him are the things that I watch on Tom's show, sometimes at 8 in the morning, because I'm either on my way to work or I'm at work, or I just miss my weekly dose of Tom Canton and I watch those shows. So that's all I know of him.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I haven't even gone on YouTube and see if I can see these videos that they put together of these players. But everybody looks good in their videos.
They're definitely out there.
Yeah, well, I'm sure, and he's going to look world class on those videos. So yeah, I mean, look, any player that can come in and improve our squad, is perfect for me. I'll be happy with that.
No, it's true. Listen, from what I've seen of him, is a very, very, very promising plan. I wouldn't say no him joining the red carpet, put it that way. But for those people that are religiously into Twitter and Instagram, just hold tight. That's all I would say to that. And if for Britzo and Ornstein don't always get it right, but listen, we'll see. Time will tell. But let's fast forward on to yesterday's game. Now, I don't know who managed to see it because it seems to be a very difficult, how can I put it nicely, game to watch. So, Tom, I'm assuming you did see the game yesterday.
I did. I've managed to watch it now. Yes.
Oh, thank God. Right, good. Tom, you see the team lineup for yesterday. What was sort of your instant thought when you saw it?
A little frustrated, I think. I thought we would go stronger. I thought he might have gone stronger, knowing that we've only got one game before the World Cup as well. And especially after he said that, he being Arteta, that he was going to put out a really competitive side. I think it was that when I saw it. I certainly didn't think he'd make 10 changes from the team that beat Chelsea. So I personally would have gone stronger. And ultimately, I think that decision to play as weak of a side as we did, or make as many changes as we did, absolutely directly contributed to us losing that game.
Did you feel like that, even though when you saw the Brighton lineup, because they did leave out quite a few of their key protagonists that they would normally have in the league? Did you still feel the same, or?
Yeah. No, I know they made a fair few changes, but they've got some very good players still in that squad. Still, Brighton have really kind of added some quality to the team, and I think that they've now been able to then move players like that were starting slightly down the roster, and some of those, of course, played yesterday. Tariq Lamptey being one of those key players as well, scored, of course, too. So yeah, and then they brought players on like Mitoma, etc., that scored and did well. It was a funny game, Obviously, we took the lead, and I think that had we have taken some of our chance in the early part of the second half, and obviously had we not made the mistake and allowed them to get back into things, it could have been very different. We might have been talking about a very different thing. However, I didn't particularly wake up this morning too disappointed. I'll be very honest about it. I never want to lose a game, and I wanted us to progress so that we could have that game ahead of the game on Boxing Day to kind of ease us back into competitive competition. But I wasn't wildly annoyed, that we went out, and it might end up being a bit of a blessing in disguise in the long term.
No, well said, Tom. Okay, I mean, I saw it. If Arsenal had gone through, I've seen kind of the fixture pile-up congestion of what would have occurred if they'd have gone through it. Yeah, listen, with the squad we've got coming to Shaheen, I love winning silverware, and I'm lucky enough to be alive the last time we won the League Cup, believe it or not, which is a long time ago, 1993. The days when
it's had that many names since as well.
Yeah, I know, unbelievable. Well, Shaheen, coming to you, mate. Like, you see with the team lineup, were there any particular players that you were keen to see whether they would give Arteta a bit more food for thought? Because there's a couple for me that I'm going to sort of point out to you and Tom.
To start with, obviously, I didn't expect that lineup, and we were doing a show on Monday with Tom and Mo and Lev, and I was so tempted to predict a Brighton win, because I thought it might be a chance that Arteta will rest some of these players, and he did, and we lost the game. But I didn't expect that many changes. I was looking forward to seeing Marquinhos and Reece Nelson, and I wanted to see if Reece Nelson can continue that form, and what is he going to do at the back of that great performance that he had. He scored a couple of goals, and Marquinhos as well, because he's played in Europa League a couple of games and then he's dropped and he hasn't had games. So yeah, I didn't watch the game. I watched some of it on Mo's Instagram. I think he was showing it.
Yeah, that's where I watched some of it as well.
And he was showing it. But I'll tell you one thing though. If there is one thing that I think I will take away from that game, because I agree with Tom, it's more or less a meaningless game, and I think it shows that they actually going for, a top four and maybe a decent FA Cup run and obviously the Europa League. So they looked at this and they said, well, maybe we can do without the fixtures. But if there's one thing we can take away from this game, is the lack of depth we have in the squad. That's if you take out the likes of Thomas Partey, Gabriel Jesus, Saliba, Gabriel, the players that they come in, obviously Granit Xhaka in the current form, and Martin Odegaard. But apart from those, the players that come in are not on the same level. So this is something that obviously you need a whole squad in order for you to go on a title charge, if you like, or go to the distance in a competition. So that's something for them to have a look at and hope, and they've got opportunity now in January to bring in a couple of decent players to accommodate them, because listen, just imagine if Thomas Partey gets injured, or Jesus, or Gabriel, or Saliba.
Oh my Lord!
Any two of them at the time, we'll start to feel it. And luckily, touch wood, it hasn't happened so far. And I think the game yesterday was just a bit of an eye opener. That listen, guys, you need a bit more quality in terms of the squad as a whole.
No, well said. So Tom, come back to you in terms of Shaheen's mentioned two of the players I was looking forward to see how they get on was obviously Marquinhos and Reiss Nelson. With Marquinhos, I think for me, it's purely down to him adjusting to English football. It's not easy. Like, he's still young. He's not had that many starts, but he's had some game time. I just think he's very, very raw, as Tim Vickery kind of mentioned, the South American correspondent for the BBC. Douglas Costa type he mentioned, which, what, if he turns out to be like him in an Arsenal shirt, I wouldn't be too disappointed. But with Reiss Nelson, obviously, Shaheen mentioned he got the brace against Nottingham Forest. Thought he was very quiet in the Europa League game, particularly in the first half, and was the bright spot yesterday. What did you make of sort of Marquinhos and Reiss Nelson in particular?
I think they're two different players at very different stages of their Arsenal career. I think one is very much just beginning, and I think the other one is coming to the end. I think Marquinhos has arrived, obviously, from Brazil, playing senior football over there in the top league, different to Martinelli, who was playing in the lower tiers in Sao Paulo. More physical, I think, than Martinelli. He's got that, and I think he showed that yesterday as well with some of his moves. He combats quite well, and I think that with someone like him, he's going to need regular game time at a senior level in Europe, and so a loan in January is probably the most sensible route forwards for him. So unsurprisingly, I think that will happen. Reiss Nelson's story, I think, at Arsenal is over. And I think for an Arsenal side that need to be looking towards competing for titles and getting into the Champions League and competing in the Champions League, there isn't really a space in the squad for Reiss Nelson, because as you were just talking about, if we lose a Partey, if we lose a Saliba, etc., but if we lose a Saka or a Gabriel Martinelli as well, I'm not comfortable with it being Reiss Nelson for a long period of time. I think Arsenal need a higher standard of player in competition with those guys. So yeah, I think Marquinhos is still very raw, as you say, and coming through, and will go on loan and develop. And I think Reiss Nelson is a player whose story at Arsenal is reaching its final chapter, if not already.
No, I agree with that. Before I come to Shane, super chat from Wayne. Wayne, thank you for the super chat, my friend. No surprise that I disagree with Shaheen. Lots of love. I think that this depth argument is seriously overstated. Yes, we do need a few players in key positions, but we will ever play this combination of 11 players? ? Shaheen, come in, mate. Come in.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's perfectly normal for me and Wayne to disagree. So I know. I wouldn't be surprised if it was anything other than that. But as I said earlier, Wayne, I did say it gives them a perfect opportunity in January to go out and get a couple of players. Would they play the same 11 combination? Probably not, because I think they're going to take FA Cup and Europa League seriously. So maybe not. But we're 2 or 3 injuries away from a completely different Arsenal team, in my view. Injury to key players is going to be a problem with not adequate backups.
No, also, Wayne, you heard it there from Shaheen. I know you regularly disagree. I've seen it.
We respectfully disagree with each other.
respectfully, yes. Let me get that.
Yeah, that's the key word. No, I love Wayne, man. He's cool. He's always been very kind to us. Always here, and does super chats. Very grateful, Wayne. Thank you.
No. Tom, performance. I wasn't going to the game. Then I was going to the game. Then I wasn't going to the game, and I did go to the game in the end. So, Yeah, the first 20 minutes, mate.
I bet you're glad you did.
You know what, Tom? To sit in the to go to the red carpet, it's all right. It's not a painful journey from where I live, but yeah, the first 20 minutes, I thought Brighton looked like the home team. To be honest with you, they're very good football inside, man. Like Potter, I forgot the guy's manager name. Tom, forgive me.
Roberto De Zerbi.
Yes, very good football. Break through the lines, play through the back. Then obviously a couple moments from Reece Nelson. I thought he sparked the game really, and I thought Arsenal came into it a bit more. Better intensity in the second half for the first 15 minutes. But I think Arteta said it after the game, Tom. Big difference in efficiency in both areas, really. And that, to me, was the difference. Arsenal were they weren't bad, but goals changed games. What did you make of the performance side of it from Arsenal?
I think it was, it was unsurprising after making 10 changes. I wasn't surprised that they struggled. That team has never played in that combination before. There's no consistency. It's like going into the first game of the season, basically, with a whole new team because they'd not played with one another yet. There's a lot of players that forward line. If you were asking me where the forward line of Nketiah, Nelson and Marquinhos finish in the Premier League, we're talking relegation. If we're being frank and honest, that's probably where a team with that front three would finish in the league. So to expect them, whether or not they're playing against Brighton starters or not, to be able to be a side that's got the front three that's going to, take you past another Premier League side of that level of quality, whether they've made those changes or not, it's still a high expectation, I think. And that's why I feel as though Arteta maybe was slightly a little bit, if he genuinely wanted to progress, a little bit naive in choosing, that many players that didn't play at the weekend. I think that Fabio Vieira in particular was pretty poor. I think that, he hasn't had a pre-season. He's come into a new league. He's not being able to play as regularly as he was at Porto. So I am giving him the rope to climb himself out of a bit of a hole that I don't really think he's that deep in right now. I think that this winter break, I think is going to really benefit Fabio Vieira. But the lack of the pre-season, I think, has really affected his start to life at Arsenal, which is a shame because I think the performances we've seen when he started alongside most of the starters, as we saw at Brentford, he's done well, And that, I think, is a big thing of when we have the depth discussion. I think that Wayne's point earlier on in the chat box, I think he's half right and half of it's maybe a little bit too kind. I think that for a player like Nketiah, for instance, no one should be moaning about Nketiah after last night. He did his job. He scored and he created another chance where he tested the goalkeeper and got very close. There's nothing, I have nothing critical to say about Eddie Nketiah's performance last night. It was absolutely as you would expect from a player coming in. But the thing is though, someone raised to me a great point on this morning's show, which is that we moan about players like Nketiah, Vieira, players like Marquinhos, Nelson, when they come off the bench and don't offer enough times. Well, we've brought on Jesus and Xhaka and Gabriel and Ødegaard and Saka and Martinelli in lots of these Europa League games, and they've not changed the game. Our starters coming off the bench aren't changing. So in the same sense, should we really be, that critical of these substitute performances? And at the same time, when I look at this team as they did play yesterday, it's impossible to have kind of a genuine analysis on how they are because you've made 10 changes to your team. So the performance was bad. It's as simple as that. There are reasons why it was bad. It's nothing to get hung up on. And as we've discussed, I think it will ultimately benefit us in the long run, probably not being in this competition.
Okay, cool. Well said, Tom. Well said. Right to the point. That's what I like. Pick off the bones, mate. Coming to Shahid. So the same thing, but as well, again, in terms of performance, I want to sort of talk about Sambi as well. Before I'll give you a bit of context in my opinion, what I think. It's a general bugbear I have with midfield players anyway, if I'm being honest. Like, can you move the ball a bit quicker? But I just think he's had enough game time at Arsenal in the time he's been here to see the picture beforehand and to move the ball a bit quicker, because there was too many occasions yesterday. Vieira's a little bit, but in particular talking about Sambi, where he got caught too many times, gave away the ball needlessly. What have you made of his performance maybe yesterday and with the time in terms of what he's done at Arsenal? Do you see an improvement, or how do you gauge it?
It's a good point, Albert, that you raised, because we didn't sign Sambi as a now and really, a present player. We signed him as somebody who would come in with big reputation. He was the captain of Anderlecht, and he was highly recommended by Vincent Kompany. So we purchased him to come in and be potentially somebody who can play the role that maybe Xhaka plays right now in the team, because I don't really see him as a holding, like a Partey type player.
No.
Simple answer is it has not worked the way that maybe we would have hoped. And I think maybe sending him out on a full season loan would do him real good, because I'd like to see him play. Look at what happened to William Saliba. We sent him out on loan. I know at the time everybody was moaning about this, but obviously hindsight is a wonderful thing. He's gone out there in Marseille, played the whole season, coming back now, and he's one of the players that has made a real contribution to Arsenal. I think Sambi Lokonga is he needs that type of move in his development where he needs to be sent out on loan, get a full season out on loan, and then come back, and we'll see where we are with him. If there's been an improvement, then great, we'll keep him, we'll contribute. If not, he hasn't really worked out, then maybe we should part ways. And not every player that we buy for future will work. Some may not work.
Yeah, Tom, I'm going to bring you quickly because I know you've got to go about Sambi. I just think I watch him play, not just yesterday. Let me make that point very, very clear. And just think, just move the ball quicker. Like, just be a bit more aware. Like, stop being sloppy. Like, he's not 16, 17. He's 23, Tom, is he?
Yeah, 22, 23, yeah.
Yeah, what do you make of his what you've seen so far?
Yeah, I'm not happy. You know, I want to see more from him because I've seen more from him. You know, when he first came in and he was starting in the Premier League, I really liked him. I really liked what I saw from him. I thought, wow, we got really, got a bit of a bargain here on this kid. He looks like someone who can progress the ball well, good on the ball, good decision making. And I think that the end of last season really knocked him for six. His confidence has been hit. He was dropped out the Belgian side. He's attacked verbally Martinez. He said how pissed off he was. That's not going to help him. He seems a little bit immature, and I don't think that's the type of kind of character that is going to thrive in this Arsenal team. Immaturity has been gradually weeded out of this team. So if he starts showing those tendencies, I don't think that's necessarily going to benefit him all that much. There was a moment in the second half where he turned away with the ball from two players fantastically and then unfortunately played the wrong pass through. If he can find those moments more regularly and he can then find the right pass and start making the right decision, that shows the talent that he's got. I wouldn't get rid of him in January. I know a lot of people say we should send him out on loan. I think that's naive. I think that we should be looking to add in January to reinforce. I think we should then send Lokonga out on loan in the summer. But I don't think we need to weaken ourselves by moving on a player that provides some depth to us if we do have a spate of injury problems. I think he needs to go out on loan in the summer. I think we need to keep him to the end of the season. I think we need to reinforce in January. But the idea of sending him out on loan on January, I just think is a little naive of how quickly and how rapidly injuries can crop up, and suspensions, of course, as well. And COVID potentially too. You never know these days.
Yeah, no, well said. Yeah, no, you're right. I think, I listen, it was made clear that he was going to be kept to Arsenal. I've not heard the talk personally about him being sent out on loan in January. I don't think that's a good time, to be honest with you. If it doesn't, like Shaheen's mentioned, sometimes you buy players, it just don't work out, man. Unfortunately, it's football. Yeah. But Tom, I know you got to go.
Pleasure.
The pleasure's been mine, and Shaheen's as well, obviously. And I'll speak to you very, very soon.
Always.
Have a good one, people. See you later. Much love. Bye-bye.
Take care, mate. Cheers. Thank you. And then there's just two. Shaheen. Coming back to right. So look, we're at the EFL Cup. Like I said, we ain't won the competition since 1993. It's weird, Shaheen, because I look at the likes of City, Liverpool, Chelsea. They take this competition seriously, man. Now, people are going to immediately say squad depth. But I don't think it's even just that, Shaheen. I just think, I don't know what it is. What do you think it is? I'm not too sure, man, to be honest with you.
Sorry, I was just distracted by Super Chat that Lev has done on our own channel.
Go on, Levs.
Trust me and Lev, I asked permission to come on the show on our own channel, and Lev does a Super Chat on our own channel. Thank you, Lev. It's very kind of you. I thought maybe more than a $5 will do the job, but hey.
Yeah, let me read. Let me read out your. I have to read out your Super Chat, obviously, Levs. Right. So, right. Not fussed on the Carabao Cup highlights lack of quality and depth. I expect moves in January. Danilo, Mudryk would be perfect. I agree. I think last night, Shaheen, was a warning sign, man. Big warning sign.
This warning sign has been around for a while. It wasn't just last night. You know, you could argue every Europa League game has been a warning sign. And Premier League, we've been flying. Right? It's been perfect. But Europa League, as soon as we change things around, we rest one or two players, we'll bring in a couple of players. It's a different ball game. It's a different team out of a sudden, and I just think it just shows the lack of quality we have in depth, and Lev has put out in a super chat that we don't have enough in terms of squad size, and the ones that we do in terms of quality are not great. Fabio Vieira, you said, I think it was yourself or Tom said they had a poor game. When Fabio Vieira came in, the first thing I immediately said, this guy looks a little bit short, physical, in terms of physical side of the game. And there has been a couple of times that I've seen him play in Europa League or Premier League, a couple of times where I've seen him just barge off the ball very easily. So that's one for Fabio Vieira. Marquinhos has clearly been purchased for future. I don't think he's had any appearances in Premier League yet.
No, he hasn't.
No, just the Europa League. So that's that. And then you got Reece Nelson that has been kept again as maybe a last chance saloon. Nicolas Pepe was loaned out on loan. He's still an Arsenal player, but he's out on loan. I genuinely don't know how well he's doing. So these are the players that are coming in for the players that are being rested, and the difference of quality is high, is very high.
Yeah.
So that's why we struggle. Thomas Partey, when he goes out, I mean, the obvious replacement that comes in for him is Mohamed El-Neni, and again, El-Neni has been a decent player, decent squad player for us over the years, but again, not of the caliber that can come in and put in that similar sort of performances as Thomas Partey. So for me, these are issues, and you said the other teams seem to be taking the competition seriously.
Years
over the years. Some have. I mean, Man City have always taken it seriously. They won it quite a few times as well. But for a club like Man City, the squad they have too many, I would say, high quality players in their squad. So for them, it's an opportunity to come in and get game time, and then go on and win. I mean, look, you're talking about Man City's front line. You got Haaland, if he's rested. You got the other Spanish lad coming in. I forgot his name.
Alvarez,
yeah. And then you've got Kevin De Bruyne. You got Grealish, Foden, Mahrez. And then you've got a couple of these youngsters who are really good at. They come in and they all need time. They all need games. So they may look at it this way, but I think Arsenal looked at this and they said, you know what, let's concentrate on maybe a decent FA Cup run, a good Europa League run, and we'll push in the Premier League. We'll make sure we'll finish in the top 4. And with the squad size that we have, maybe Carabao Cup is something we can do without.
Yeah. Now you make. I think you made the point, or Tom, I can't remember. I think the concern for Arteta will be, okay, because the thing is, because we're back in Europe. Well, we was in 2 domestic cup competitions, but we're not. There's a lot of games for these guys to play. So Arteta's probably looking at it thinking, you know what? You're coming in like in the sort of not the Premier League games, but I'm not seeing anything for you to give me a headache in terms of getting into the first team. That would be his biggest concern, as well as having to bring players in. So
also, Albert, maybe they've looked at the team that have dropped out of Champions League. I think Europa League is going to be a difficult competition now. You've got Barcelona in there, you've got Juventus in there, you've got a few other decent. Atletico Madrid are in there. So then and for us, maybe they looked at this and they said, you know what, that is going to be a difficult. For me, that feels more like Champions League than the Champions League.
Yeah,
because the teams that you normally watch in the Champions League, big teams playing, now you've got Barcelona, Atletico, and then a couple of other big names in there. So, as I said, it's just evaluating where you're going for the season and how you're going to protect your players and get the best out of your players. So that's probably why they thought maybe Carabao Cup. We give the youngsters a run out, right? If they go out there, they perform, they go to the next round, they get to play again. If they go out there and they don't perform, and then we know where we are with them, and then obviously we're out. If we go out, it's not a big deal. And I just think the players who came in last night should have grabbed the opportunity a little bit better. Yeah. I mean, it was not a full strength Brighton team. You
No.
know,
Yeah.
but anyway, yeah, it is what it is. It's not a big deal. We're out. We'll just move on.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Sheen, because the thing is, I think if we was doing poorly in the league and we lost yesterday, then it's a different conversation.
Yeah.
But because we started well, even I thought I went to the game yesterday, left the ground, whatever, disappointed we lost. But I thought, you know what? When I look at the potential fixture congestion we would have had been in it still, and if we'd have got further, Shaheen, I think we would have been in problems, you know.
Yeah. No,
Serious
you're
problems. Right. But listen, we've got. But the thing is, Shaheen, we've got a chance to rectify it in January because we didn't do it last time.
Look, Albert, you know, people always tell me, "Oh, you're negative, you're this, you're that," right? But I always look at things in. There's two sides. There's a positive side. There's a negative side of everything. Yeah. Nothing is all positive and all negative, and you've got to talk about and consider both. We do have the positive is we've got opportunity in January
100%.
to get a couple of players in, right, and boost the squad a little bit and kick on, right. The negative is, you know, it was an exact position last season.
Last time,
you know, last season, January, had we got a proper striker in, we could have finished top 4. We'll be playing Champions League now. And imagine us this season with a form we're in, we would have done really well in the Champions League as well. Maybe they would have signed a few more players in summer transfer as well to boost this squad depth because we had Champions League money coming in. So, you know, you just wait and see what's going to happen in January, and we hope that they address the issues, because remember last January we were all worked out with this hype of Vlahovic, and they said, oh, we tried, we couldn't get him, and then afterward it comes out that we actually never went for him. And I didn't see anything in that documentary, not even one sign or even something that points to the fact that we were even talking about. I mean, there was a bit of it that it was January, and all the January transfer window, everything that they covered was to do with Aubameyang leaving. Yeah, I didn't see them talking about Vlahovic or anybody coming in. So I just hope that they don't. I mean, surely you would think, you know, look where we are. You know, you've got to now, you know, grab the opportunity. Things are going so well. Players are, you know, playing well. Everything is going well. All we need is 2 or 3 players, let's say 2, to come in and just give us a bit of boost. Give us a bit of, you know, kick on. Give us a bit, you know, a bit of oomph, you know, to move on. And maybe, you never know. Nobody predicted Leicester was top of the league with 5-6 games to go. And everybody thought, at some point, you know, they're going to falter away. You know, they're going to falter away. You know, they're not going to win it. And they went and won it. You know, so you never know in football. You know, we carry on the way we are. Look, Man City away might be a bit of a problem for us. But Man City at Emirates, if we can get even a draw out of that game, right? We're already ahead of them. You never know in football, man. You never know. Maybe we can go and win the title. I'll be over the moon. We all of us, every single Arsenal fan, whether you're Arteta in, out, whatever you've been saying, every single fan want us to win the league, and everybody will be over the moon, and we all deserve it after everything we've been through with the club.
Yeah, 100%, man. Listen, if anyone had said we'd been having this conversation the end of last season, I would have laughed. If I'm being honest with you.
Likewise.
It's crazy because you look at it and you think we're still talking about, for example, we do need another striker. I don't care what anyone says. We do need another striker. We need something different, like a Mitrovic style or Luke De Jong, who, when he came on against us in Europa League, he made a difference. Like, he gave us problems. Like, we need that type of striker, and we still got a goal difference of +20 now. Like, it's crazy.
You see, I was having this conversation with Lev a few times, and with the guys on Monday Night Show. I was saying this to Lev on a private phone call. I said to him, I don't think Gabriel Jesus is going to get you 15 goals a season.
No, he won't.
I thought he would, but from what I've seen of him so far, he's not. He hasn't scored in so many. He only got 5 goals. He does contribute quite a lot to the team, and that's something for you to take into account. But you need somebody to come in, right? Because if we substitute in Jesus after, I don't know, 60th minute or something, right? We'll bring in Eddie Nketiah in. And I've always said Nketiah is not good enough. We should have just parted ways at the time, and he would have gone out somewhere, played regular football. We don't have any. You said De Jong is coming. He's a different type of forward to the one they had on pitch. You know, De Jong is a tall guy. You can mix it in. You can put in crosses in. He can header the ball. We don't have that. Saka is short. Martinelli is short. Jesus is short. Odegaard is short. Next one up is Xhaka and Partey. And they don't get that high off the pitch, especially Thomas Partey, to header the ball. So, you know, now we're looking at the January transfer window, and we've often discussed this with everybody, that who should we sign in January? You know, we signed Gabriel Jesus hoping that I will solve the goals problem, right? But now maybe we need another good striker and potentially a midfielder. But I mean, have you seen that midfielder has been doing well?
Yeah, Shane, that's the thing. The way we play now, we're very strong in the fullback area. So you notice at times when we get into wide areas, particularly with Tierney, he very, very, very rarely tosses the ball in at height length. Very rarely. There's a reason for that. Yeah, there's
there's nobody there.
Yeah. And with Jesus, I saw an article, Shaheen. I don't know. It was definitely last week or 10 days ago in The Guardian. It's talking about Jesus. And it's saying that he's not your 25, let's say not your 25 to 30 goal season, man, but he's what Arsenal need right now. And I do agree with that. He is contributing, but we need that something else in a different dimension at the top end of the pitch, because we're creating chances.
100%.
We're creating chances.
Listen, I said this a long time ago, I think about a month, maybe even more than that. I said I don't like the fact that Jesus drops too much. I like him to be ahead of the play, not behind the play. And if that's his style of play, that's all right. Then cool. Because as I said, he does contribute quite a lot, you know, in other aspects. So if that's what he is, then that's fine. Cool. We need to go get a finisher. We need to go get a striker, somebody who's going to bang in the goals for you as well. Right now, the problem is not really bold, because other people are also contributing.
Yeah.
You know, Xhaka is scoring goals, Martinelli is scoring goals, Saka is scoring goals. These guys are all scoring goals. So the problem is not as bold. You know, people are like, yeah, but Jesus is doing X, Y, and Z, and that's all right. We need that. If those guys stop scoring goals, everybody are going to be like, oh, Jesus, we need him to score. That's why he's here to score goals, or this, that, the other. And as I said, you know, right now maybe it's something that we need, another striker, somebody who offers. In summer, I really wanted us to go for Scamacca.
Okay,
but that didn't happen. He went to West Ham because he's that type of player that you can come in and you can start putting in crosses in. Yeah,
listen. We've got one more. We're gonna come on to this actually. We've got Wolves on Saturday night game, people. 7:45 kickoff. Fair play to the Arsenal fans going up to the Midlands at that time. Anyway,
I think Lev is going there as well.
Lev's, you going? Yeah, go on, Levs. Safe journey, bro.
Levs is going.
Yeah. You know what, Shaheen, going into this game, Wolves won't have the new manager bounce because Lopetegui's not starting until I think after the World Cup. So they're not going to have that to get us over one. Listen, Wolves' problem, right, has always been, it's similar to Brighton.
Yeah.
Good football inside. Wolves definitely a bit more better defensively, can't score goals. I think they're form guide. They're bottom of the league in terms of the last 6 games. They've got a goal difference of -14. So defensively has been their big issue this season. Wolves is a weird ground to go to. What's your sort of thoughts and feelings coming up to that game on Saturday? I know it's the easiest thing to say must win, but how are you feeling about that game in terms of playing Wolves away?
Very confident. I think we'll go down. I think we'll win because Wolves are normally tricky away game. You know, you go out there and they've got a good team out, but this season it hasn't really worked for them. I think they're in the bottom 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're 19th. They're 19th, Sheen.
Yeah, they're 19th. So we should be going out there. And remember, we're top of the league. Exactly. You know, and if you want to, if you want to stop, you know, if you want to talk about us as title challengers, which is gathering momentum. And rightly so, you've got to go to places like that and win.
Mm.
You know, if we go to Stamford Bridge and control the game, win, I'm sure we can go there and get a result and just end this part of the season on a high. We need to end it on a high, and everybody will go after the World Cup, and we all come back, and it's gonna we're gonna be in a healthy place, and we go from there. So I'm quite confident that we go there and we win. I think I predicted 3-1 or 2-1 Arsenal, one of these.
Yeah.
So I don't see Wolves giving us issues. I mean, unless we go there and not play, that's the only way that they win. What about you?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, they lost their last game at home to Brighton, didn't they? Like I said, it's weird because defensively, they've been pretty good the last couple of years. But for some reason, this season, they've just fallen off a cliff. Like I said, goal difference are -14 at this stage of the season already. It's not the worst in the league, but it's not great. I'm confident, Shaheem, man. Like, you got to remember, they've got, I think Nelson Semedo is going to be missing because he got sent off in the last game. Yeah. Costa's on the ban because he got sent off the week before. And
I wouldn't have worried about Diego Costa, man. Normally he is, but I think Saliba and Gabriel will handle him no problem.
Yeah. And they've also got Thing missing again, unfortunately. He's a player I'd like at Arsenal, Pedro Neto. So they got again? Yeah, I think he's injured again. Yeah.
What about Neves? Is he playing?
Neves will play. Martino will probably play. But defensively, we can get at them, man. 100%.
Yeah, of course, man. Mate, listen, it's a perfect game for Gabriel Jesus to score, to end one of 9 games that he hasn't scored and go to World Cup on a high.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, so hopefully he can get a goal in, go on a high, and everybody can put in a performance. No injuries, hopefully, and go out there and just end it on a high, and we'll go from there.
You make a good point, Shaheem, man. Listen, let's have it right. We are top of the league for a reason. Play some good football. We scored a lot of goals. Where teams are afraid of us. Physically, we're imposing. So Wolves can't come and bully us on Saturday. You know, like Gabriel and Tomiyasu and Saliba. Saliba, that guy, Shaheem, man. I'm telling you, man. Even I know we lost yesterday, but this guy's a serious player, man.
Yeah,
serious.
You know what? I've said this some time ago as well. I said I would make it top priority for Edu. I would even go as far as say, mate, your job then, because his contract is coming to an end as well, Edu. I would tell him your new contract will depend on Saliba signing a new contract. Because I'll tell you something, Albert. This summer, right, is we either need to sign him or sell him. Because the following summer, I mean, from January next year, he can talk to anybody and just walk away for free. So and it will be criminal. It will be criminal to let a player of that caliber walk away for free.
Is it Saka, Martinelli?
Saka signed a new contract, though.
Is Saka definitely signed? Has he definitely signed it?
So. Yeah, I think.
I know their contracts are. Coming up for emission. Lev, you played a good point to people. 70 people watching. I think. Come on, obliterate the like button, man. Smash it, man. Come on, people, man. Get them algorithms up. But I'm gonna go for score prediction. I'm gonna go for. You know what? I'm gonna go for 2-0. You know.
2-0. What Arsenal?
Man. Jesus get a brace, man. Come on, boy. Come on, man.
Jesus get a brace.
Yeah, come on, man. Yeah, let's listen. Get the boy some confidence. He's got to World Cup.
I'll be happy for him to get a brace.
But sort of going off subject a little bit, but sort of still Arsenal. We're going to finish up, Shaheem. World Cup's coming up, so I don't know how you feel about it. But Arsenal contingent wise, Brazil. So obviously, Martinelli's going and Gabriel Jesus is going. I'll be honest with you. With Martinelli, I'm surprised he got picked. I am surprised he got picked.
Why? He's been playing really well this season.
No. I agree with you. But I just thought Tete might stick with
Richarlison. For who?
With Firmino. I thought he might still stick with Bobby Firmino. I'm glad he's going. Listen, you know in Brazil with South American people, Shaheem, like football's a religion. Like to go to a World Cup is just
I know these South American boys. They love playing for their national league, national team.
But obviously Gabriel missed out. But you know what? I looked at Brazil's defense in their squad here. I've got to be honest, Shaheem. Like it's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not surprised he didn't get in. If I'm being honest.
Who?
Gabriel.
Gabriel got called up.
No, I'll defend Gabriel Margules.
Yeah, he got called up.
No, he didn't, man. He didn't.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm definitely sure. Trust me, he's not. He got called up. He didn't.
Really?
Yeah, he didn't get called up, man. But if you know what, like I said, if you look at the Brazil squad and the defenders, you're like, you know what, he would have done. He'd have done pretty well to get in, man. If I'm being honest with you, but yeah, man, we got the three boys. Obviously, Saka, Ramsdale, and Ben White are going. You know what? You see with Ben White,
yeah,
he's been brilliant. Listen, I did a piece on him the other day. He's brilliant, but I think personally, obviously because of the manager of England, if a certain Reece James was fit, I don't think he would have gone, Shaheen.
Who's that?
Ben White. I don't think he'd have been picked.
Listen, England team is a funny one because there's quite a couple of players in there that they don't deserve to be there, but they're there.
Yes.
Harry Maguire, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Kyle Walker has been injured for a while as well.
Yeah. Calvin Phillips has been picked.
He has.
Yeah.
He has.
Yeah, he's been picked.
So again, that's another one. He has. But then you got Chris Smalling, who's playing week in, week out, and he won the Italian league last season. He hasn't been picked. Ben White deserves to be there.
100%.
You know, he deserves to be there, and that's the end of it. If he didn't get called up, I would be really surprised. And he deserves to be there, and he's there rightly so. And I hope he has a great World Cup because last season I was not a fan of him at all, especially after what he said about Patrick Vieira. Right?
Yeah.
This season, completely different player,
exceptional.
Man.
Yeah,
different player, been playing really, really well, and he deserves to be there, rightly so. So, and you know what, Gareth Southgate, he's if he doesn't get to the final, he's at the minimum, he's off. He needs to be off, and obviously, I'm not really concerned about the England team because I'm going to root for Iran. We're in the same group: Iran, USA, UK.
Yeah,
I said this many times, Albert. I said if only we had Israel in that group, so it would have been Iran, Israel, UK, US. Yeah. That would have been a party, but we don't. But the Israeli boys, they haven't made it. So Wales is there. I think. Yeah. I think Iran will probably beat US. Okay. I think we might do well against. I think we'll probably beat. Wales as well, but I don't see us beating England team. Yeah, I think Iran and England will qualify. Okay. Not in that order, but you know.
Listen, stranger things have happened, man. But nah,
yeah, it has. But it's going to be. Do you know what? It doesn't really feel like a World Cup, though.
No, I don't.
Because normally it's summer, the weather is good. You go to the beer gardens. Everybody's doing their own gardens, putting big screens out there. You know, people watch. But it's now cold and this, and you don't really feel like a World Cup. But nevertheless, it's going to be an interesting one. Who are you rooting for?
Well, obviously, my Nigerians let me down in the playoff against Ghana, so I'm still a bit sore about that. But, but you know, I've always followed England, Sheen. I must admit, my first memories. I'm an '80s kid in it, so I remember 1990 very well, and I've seen some terrible England sides, if I'm being honest, in the past. Trust me. Under Graham Taylor, it was awful. But yeah, listen, I think Brazil win it. I'll go for Brazil.
Brazil is good. France has got a good team.
Yeah, very
they've got Saliba at the back, Mbappe up front, Karim Benzema.
Yeah,
they're all good form, man. Good form.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna predict Iran and France in the final.
You know what? If I got a spare tenner in my back pocket, I'll put that on, man. Don't worry, man. I'm about to be rich.
I'm only playing with you, man. No, but it will be a nice distraction for everybody. We get to watch it, and hopefully everybody will do well. I think England will definitely qualify from that group. You know, I don't see them having an issue.
If it goes to form, it'll be France, England in the quarterfinals. If it goes to form, yeah. If it goes to form.
I think it's going to be a difficult game, man. But I think France will probably win because I've never seen a Gareth Southgate team that will play expansive attacking football.
No,
it's always been very reserved, very, make sure you don't concede first kind of performance. And I think that was a problem they had last. I mean, they had England had an easy run to the final. Let's be honest. Last time around, I think it was the European Championship. So, I mean, hopefully they will do well this time around as well. I don't want to upset many English people here.
No, Les, you'll be all right, man. But people, Arsenal midweek peak is coming. There's 62 in the chat. Make sure you obliterate that like button before you leave. Get Arsenal past 17K and onwards, man. Your host, AlbertJTV on the Arsenal Lounge. This is really weird for me, Shahid, because normally if I'm on my channel, it's easy to give someone an outro to leave, like to plug their channel, but it's your channel. So
no, man. Just think I'm a guest. Listen, I watched a couple of your last two shows and I always enjoyed doing shows with you. And I thought and I today obviously in London is chaos, man. There's madness outside with the tube strike and the train strike. So it's stupid. So I got home a bit earlier because I wanted to avoid the traffic. And I got home and I was like, oh, you know what? Let me go on the show with the boys. We'll have a nice Arsenal chat, see what's happening, talk World Cup a little bit. Just it's pleasure, man. It's a lovely way of spending a couple of hours with nice people talking about football. So just think of me as a guest, man.
Yeah.
I don't get to do this often, Albert. Yeah, well, I come in as a guest. So
it's been a while since I've seen you, man. So now it's like to you and Les. Big up to you and Les for giving me the chance to come and host on your channel, man. So now, man's blessed.
It's pleasure. It's our pleasure.
No, honestly. But people, as I said, obliterate the like button, give your virtual waves and goodbyes in the chat. Arsenal Midweek Peak is over and out for another episode. We will be back, people, very, very soon. Take care, Gunners.